A number of years ago, I heard an interesting Rosh Tevos of the word tzitzis. Now, tzitzis is written in different ways, and it has to do with the numbers adding up to 613, but leave that off for a moment. And if we'll just write tzitzis like this, tzitzis, and it stands for, it's a Rosh Teves for Tzadik, Yivdok, Tzitziyosav, Tamid. What that means is a tzaddik will check his tzitzis constantly. And before putting on tzitzis in the morning, custom is to check the tzitzis. What are we checking for? Well, lots of things. We're checking to make sure that nothing is torn, because if the tzitzis would be torn in a certain place, then the tzitzis were not fulfilling the mitzvah. For example, if the tzitzis are torn over here in this area, that means I don't have the right number of tzitzis. One of them is cut. If it is not long enough over here after the knots, then it's also a problem. So before I put on my tzitzis in the morning, I check the tzitzis to make sure that it's there, and I pull the knot to make sure that the knot remains over there. What about Shabbos morning? Shabbos, I can't fix the tzitzis if they are torn. So Shabbos morning, I check my talus, or my talus katan, and I find that the tzitzis are torn, and I can't fix it. Well, it depends. That perhaps there's some situations in which you would be allowed to wear the talus even with torn tzitzis if there would be an embarrassment to the person not to have a talus. Now, why am I mentioning all of this about checking the tzitzis? Because in the morning, as I said, before putting on the tzitzis, one is supposed to check the tzitzis. And this morning I noticed that somebody's tzitzis is coming apart. And our custom is, there are many different customs as to how to tie and make the knots. Our general custom is to make 7, 8,